A year and a half ago, we posted some questions, starting with this one. What is the American dream? So many of you remembered it as a parent with a job, a modest house, maybe a family vacation, and the kind of education that would give the children even more opportunity in life. I remember that dream too. My parents grew up on farms in southern Kentucky. This was the house where we lived until I was 4. They rented it when my mom was a school teacher, my dad in the Navy. So thanks to the GI Bill, they got a house in a subdivision, a family street with picnics and 4th of July parades. But so many of you also wrote us about the stress and the struggle of trying to reach that dream today.
I'm actually having to work 3 jobs, and my husband works 3 jobs as well, and we're still not able to get ahead.
Back when I was a kid, my father worked, my mother stayed home. My father's income was enough for us to survive.
When I was growing up, it was achievable. The white picket fence, being able to own your own home.
I feel like we can never catch up.
It's like you're stuck.
You got to get the millionaires and the billionaires in Washington to start worrying about the working class people. Because
you think they don't know, don't care?
I think they forgot.
2 facts. Over the past 30 years, the U.S. economy has been growing, but those at the top are getting more and more of the money. The top 20% have 14 times the wealth of the rest, the 80%, the largest inequality on record. And for the first time in half a century, the majority of the young people in the middle class are not earning as much as their parents did. Which is why, long ago, we started driving around the country. This is a stop at Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. This fire station, Pennsylvania's bravest. I learned that 40 out of 68 full-time firefighters here have to work at least a second job. Though they say a generation ago, a firefighting income could support your family. But firefighter Chris Smith simply will not give up on that dream for his children. Chris Smith has 3 jobs. He works on rotation. His schedule's a Rubik's Cube.
3 nights in February, I'll get to sleep in my own bed. Every other night, I'm working somewhere overnight.
We're there as he gets ready to go to work at his first job, firefighter on the night shift.
I have to be clean shaven for the fire department, so our mask will form a good seal on our face. Spare uniforms for every job that I'm going to over the next 2 days.
Job number 1, at the firehouse, 15 straight hours. Chris makes us a video diary as 7 emergency calls come into the firehouse, one after the other.
We are heading out on a call, possible structure fire, reported smoke.
Job number 2 is as a trained paramedic. Some days, Chris goes directly there to work 8 hours. Job number 3, 5 hours as a paramedic in a different town. He races off to help a truck worker who was unloading gravel.
Vehicle rollover with injury.
I know you're a tough guy, but tell me if something was hurting, right? I would. Thank you. Not a problem, buddy.
As he heads home to sleep, behind the closed doors of his house, Chris faces a different kind of stress and a lot of love.
Hello! Daddy. Hi, buddy. How was your day? Let's go make macaroni.
His wife, Lauren, baby Ella, and toddler, little Christopher.
So how many calls you had?
How many calls?
Yeah.
2 calls.
That's 2?
Yep.
Dad, you always say to people are hurt.
You save people who are hurt.
Did you see the gas bill?
They bought a house in a neighborhood where the public schools are good.
Ready? Open up.
A 30-year mortgage. They're also paying down big student loans.
I'm gonna go get ready for work then. I love you.
To save money, they tell us they bought used furniture online. They only eat out once a year on their anniversary. They buy toothpaste and razors with coupons. And Chris shows us the 1 pair of shoes he uses for going out, like to church. They are 10 years old.
I can't tell you the last time my wife and I bought anything for ourselves.
And then, just when the Smiths thought they might be able to come in on budget, 2 surprises. His healthcare premiums were jacked up nearly 30% in the past 2 years. And a storm flooded their backyard, costing thousands.
At the end of each month, how much do you have left?
Really nothing.
He's such a good guy, and he works so hard. And the job that he does do is so incredibly hard and so incredibly scary.
Chris looks longingly at the lives of the 20% of Americans who take up so much more of America's wealth.
I want more time with my children, with my family. You're never going to get that back.
The people who can afford vacations and savings accounts, security for the future.
They spend more in one day than we probably spend in a month. Their bonuses are more than we make in years. It's a totally different world that they live in.
And so many of you wrote us that it doesn't seem most Americans know about the reality of a middle-class life. We went out on the street to ask some random questions. What percentage of Americans today are in the middle class?
75%.
The truth, just 50%. And what is the income for a family of 5 just making it through the middle class door?
This is my answer.
That income actually starts at $54,000. So we head to Maryland, where we meet an incredibly spunky woman named Tracy Coleman. She's shaving big bars of soap to make her own laundry detergent because it saves her $10 a month. Tracy's husband once had a union job in manufacturing, but it went away, so he spends long days installing air conditioners. She works as an aide at the local elementary school. She worries that people blame working families for their situation.
Something's wrong with you. You're doing something wrong. We're working. It's not like we're not working. It's just not enough money to support you.
Her big splurge, she says, McDonald's, maybe once a month.
I'm not gonna lie. I've said to myself, I should not have spent that $18 at McDonald's. I could have put it in the gas tank, but I want my kids to be able to enjoy life.
She has 2 children, a daughter named Abby and a son, Colton, who's just 7 years old, but already reads at a 6th grade level. He and his best friend, Caleb, have questions about her budget.
How much money do you get?
What I'm gonna bring home is gonna be $470 about.
What? What?
But listen to this. Our house costs $800 a month, so I've got to work 2 weeks at least just to pay off the mortgage. Gas and electric's another $200 a month, so that's another half a week. I have to pay for a car, that's $200. So now I have to buy food, soap, shampoo,
soda,
toothpaste. So we're left with maybe $50 extra. Well, guess what? What if we want to go to McDonald's once? That's
like $0.
Yeah, that's like $0 that we can save. So how are we supposed to save?
By, I don't know.
Tracy hears all those pundits on TV saying that people just need to get a college degree.
A college education.
Increases your earning potential by 20%.
Your college degree is your ticket in the door to get these jobs.
So every day, Tracy tries to power up her failing computer to do homework for an online college course, fighting against the exhaustion and the stress in her life. And if you doubt what it means for someone like Tracy to get a little break, a different job opens up at the elementary school. It's still entry level, a parent-teacher coordinator, but with extra pay.
I got this job. I got this job!
One moment to savor on her family's difficult climb into the American dream.
Boy, the way Glenn Miller played.
Songs that made the hit parade.
Return with us to the sights and sounds of Archie Bunker's neighborhood. 30 years ago, the television symbol of living in the American working class.
Call Rudy in California.
On the phone?
No, we just open up the window and holler.
Here's Archie's house today, the blue one on the right. We took a walk there with Ralph McLaughlin, chief economist for Trulia, a real estate website.
Those homes were built for middle-class Americans. They were built for teachers. They were built for firefighters. They were built for nurses. And those types of people can't afford those homes anymore. I see a middle-class neighborhood that is no longer affordable to the middle class.
Kathy Massey moved into Archie's neighborhood 40 years ago. Her husband was a truck driver. She showed us who's buying these houses now.
He's a banker. He's a CEO.
She says in 1978, her house cost almost $60,000. Today, it's valued at $800,000. And these soaring house prices aren't just in New York. It's happening in job markets across the country. So we wondered about that other TV home, Roseanne's house in Evansville, Indiana.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Quick, they're gone. Change the locks.
Her house would cost $129,000. But Roseanne's fictional job on TV was in manufacturing. But in Evansville, the number of manufacturing jobs is shrinking.
So home ownership in America is, where is it now?
Homeownership in America is at a 50-year low. Think about that, Diane. How many things can you think of today are at 50-year lows?
So Americans are right that something profound has changed. In the 1970s, a father on one salary could afford the average new home being built then. It was 1,700 square feet. 2/3 had fewer than 3 bedrooms, more than 1 bathroom, a luxury. The cost? $191,000. But today, the average new house is $360,000. And the home has grown by 60%, 2,600 square feet, 4 bedrooms, not to mention multiple bathrooms, as builders keep catering more and more to upscale incomes.
I love this town. I love this community.
This is Marisha Sevilla.
I'm sorry, I didn't expect to get emotional. I can't take my daughter to the dentist.
She's one of the people caught in the vicious choice between affording where you live and affording your life.
I think I grew up middle class. My parents have 4 children. They own their home. I didn't imagine I would still be without any idea of how I would get into a house at this point.
Her husband is a microbiologist at a lab. They rent a small 2-bedroom apartment in California. When we meet her, she's taken on 4 part-time jobs.
Now I do dog walking and house sitting.
College savings for the girls?
Nothing.
Add to it the 25% hike in rent in her town of Burlingame, California. We drop in for tea with neighbors.
I mean, teachers can't afford to live here. Blue-collar workers, the people that work in this town that we depend on, they have to leave.
I've worked in biotech for 20 years.
And so you have
I make 6 figures, and I can't give my kids what I grew up with.
With 2 incomes, it's difficult. We can live here, but can we thrive here?
So you have to live in a place you can't afford to live to keep the job that you want to keep too. I mean, it's a trap.
Right.
It says a lot that almost everyone at this table with me a year and a half ago is gone. They had to leave their home. We gathered a panel of experts to help guide us tonight. All of them say they got to live their own American dream. Tamara Drought, the daughter of a steelworker.
Being middle class security, being able to put away some savings, being able to save for retirement. All of those things have gotten so much harder to achieve.
Darren Walker, who gives a lot of credit for his success to Head Start. Arthur Brooks grew up in a working-class neighborhood in Seattle. Dan Gilbert, now at Harvard, but started his academic career at a local community college.
Once upon a time, the gap between the rich and the poor was not a large one, and everybody on one side of it had hopes of getting to the other. 2 things have happened. 1, that gap has become extraordinarily large, and 2, the ability to cross it has become extraordinarily rare. It's a game of chutes and ladders that has become all chutes and very few ladders.
As for the cost of housing, the experts say it's a lot about political leadership, like changes in the zoning laws.
People who are privileged, people who are entrenched interests have made it impossible to build low-income housing, any housing.
The solutions are within our reach. The question is, do we have the will to implement?
In the meantime, the outward migration is creating a group of Americans called super commuters.
There's one light on up there. I wonder if that's his light. It'd be about, is it time yet?
We travel to meet Ronnie Thomas, who is just getting up. He's 55 years old, he has a wife and 2 children, and because he can't afford to live near his work, every day he makes an 80-mile commute. But he also can't afford a car, which means he commutes 4 hours to work, 4 hours back, and he's done it for 10 years.
Do you ever get up in the morning and think, I just can't go out in the cold and the rain and ride this bike and take this train and take this bus?
Every morning. This is every morning. Every morning I feel that way, But I have responsibilities. I have a wife, I have kids. And these are my driving force.
We go with him, first by bike, 5 miles to the train, then 66 miles by train to the bus. Then it takes another 30 minutes by bus until he's dropped at his workplace. Ronnie works at Stanford University, unloading the boxes of food they serve students on campus. The tuition at Stanford is $45,000. And Ronnie, who grew up in a rough neighborhood, says once his dream was to take computer classes, but his long commute makes his dream impossible. So there he is, every morning, walking his bike past the Stanford University students who are just waking up.
So when you see all those kids at the university, so many advantages.
Doesn't bother me in the least. I'm going to do what Ronnie needs to do. Early bird catches the worms.
Hoping the bike, the bus, the train, and those 8 hours a day will somehow carry him to a different life for his children.
I'm going to come to that sink like I do every morning, look in the mirror, remind myself and she'll focus this, and keep on trying.